A new investigative documentary takes a closer look at what's happening on the southern border and who's possibly controlling it. We hear from the reporter behind the project. Joining us now is Joshua Phillips, senior investigative journalist at the Epoch Times and host of Crossroads. Great to have you on the show today, Josh.
Hey, it's a real pleasure being here.
Let's get right into it. What prompted the Epoch Times to take a closer look at what's happening on the U.S. southern border? Was it the news stories or President Biden's DHS disciplining horse-mounted border agents, or was it something else?
Well, when I first went to the U.S.-Mexico border, I actually was originally interested in finding out whether the government was working together with the human traffickers. What I found was actually something entirely different. I did not anticipate finding what I found, and frankly, it shocked me. What I found was that in some areas you don't even have the cartels. In fact, one of the main areas where I went over to the Mexico side, the cartel does not have a presence, which is why a lot of migrants and illegal aliens do choose to cross there. And when I was over there, I found something pretty shocking, which you start picking up folders, there's identifying documents all over the ground, and these folders have United Nations logos on them. And this was just tying all the pieces together, because what I've been told through this whole thing is that basically the United Nations is running the border crisis. I looked into it, and sure enough, this is the case. They say it on their own website. The International Organization for Migration gets funding from the U.S. State Department to operate the U.S. migrant crisis. This whole thing is a big sham. This is a manufactured crisis, and we're being lied to about the real nature of it.
That really is a shocking discovery, and we're so glad to have you have your boots on the ground there. Now, the documentary notes how migrants are being funneled into the United States through non-governmental organizations. What kind of groups would benefit from this?
Well, so I was looking into the NGOs. Some of them, it looks like they get money for it, and these are groups like I guess I wouldn't normally expect to be involved with this. It's groups like Catholic Charities, there's the Hebrew groups, there's all kinds of religious organizations involved with it. Then there's a lot of just kind of politically aligned organizations involved with it. What is happening is this. These groups are being used as the proxies through the UN group. Again, the International Organization for Migration. The IOM is not getting directly involved with all this stuff. Some of the stuff they are, like further down south in Panama, especially the big tents and everything like that. But these groups are working as proxies on the U.S. side of the border especially, and they're the ones busing people all across the country. Now, in terms of what is their interest, aside from maybe getting a lot of money out of it, which they do, the only thing I can think of is, of course, there's of course a lot of political interest. Democrats, of course, were originally the party against illegal immigration. They used to be the party that supported, for example, the unions and so on, which did not want to be flooded with low wage workers who would put them out of business. That changed during Obama when they found that about 80% of Latin Americans are voting Democrat, and they threw the borders wide open after they found that.
Well, thanks for breaking down this timeline. Now, Border Deception notes how criminal cartels could be involved in what's happening at the border. What part do you believe they play in this?
Well, the criminal cartels do definitely play a role. It's not actually just the Mexican cartels. You actually have human traffickers from all over the world. For China, that would be, for example, the snakeheads tied in with the Chinese mafia, the triads. Definitely, you go to some parts, and people have to get wristbands that show that you paid. If you don't pay, they kill you. The cartels are using children basically to plant them with groups to traffic them into the country. Those children are being abused, they are being trafficked, and so on. And when they started DNA testing them, it was the Democrats actually who tried to frame this as parental separation from children. Yeah, like 30% of them were not the real parents. The cartels, what they're doing is they go to people's homes in Latin America, and I've been told this by people, Mexicans in Latin America. They go to the homes of these people. They tell them, "Give me your child, I'll bring him to America." If the parents refuse, they cut the kid's throat in front of the parents, from what I've been told.
And that does just sound gruesome. Well, we do really appreciate your expert analysis and your firsthand experience. Joshua Phillips, senior investigative journalist at the Epoch Times, thank you for your time today.
Hey, real pleasure. Thank you.